Okay, what if we were to be honest with ourselves for a few minutes? Oh, there's a little dinky DX crop sensor camera. Kind of looks like something you buy at Best Buy. Of course, it's really expensive. This camera used is worth about $1,000. This camera just came out. It's $1,600 plus. Okay, this used to be $5,000 plus. We're not talking about that though. Taking you seriously. Now, people are ignorant. Now, if you didn't know much about photography and you just charged someone a $6,000 wedding package. Let's be practical here. We're not talking about what the camera can do. We're talking about perception here. It's like, well, only the results matter. You know, if they like your portfolio, they like your work, only the results matter. Yeah, that's true. That's really all that should matter. But let's get practical here. There's two reasons, as much as I love this little camera, that I would never take it to a wedding shoot, which I don't do anymore anyway. One is, for portraiture, the intertonal gain on any DX crop sensor camera is not good enough for portraiture. It's just not. The native gain on a full-frame photo site, D750, even this D3 or a D700, which are perfectly still valid for portraiture and weddings. I mean, what the hell has changed in weddings since 2008 when this came out? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing at all. Take a raw file with this. You know, what's changed? Nothing. Okay. I would not take this to a wedding. You know, hey, I love Fuji. You've been praising Fuji a lot. Well, let's get honest here, okay? The Fuji stuff isn't going anywhere. Everybody thought, you've been talking about Fuji too much recently. You know, what about Nikon? The Nikon stuff's not going anywhere. I've had a lot of fun with the Fuji stuff. A lot of fun. Wee fun. To say that I can't do a wedding with this or a professional photo shoot, I mean, obviously I'd be lying if I said that. The question is that photography is so superficial, and I hate social media. I hate well, YouTube is social media. Yeah, it kind of is. But here I am, right? I hate social media. You know? Perception is everything. It's like, who are you going to hire? The guy that shows up wearing a Rolex and a tuxedo, or the dude that shows up with a baseball cap wearing some torn blue jeans? I'm going to hire the guy in the tuxedo and the Rolex, right? If they're both charging the same thing, you know, if money, you know, is the same on both of them. So, but there's two reasons I would not take this to a wedding, and I would not use this for a portrait shoot. Not to say that you can't take beautiful portraiture with it. And that is one, perception, because people are ignorant and stupid. I mean, if I show up with a Nikon Speedlight and this heavy, gigantic, honking, you know, death-defying beast, or a D750 or a Nikon D4S, they're like, oh, that's some serious equipment, because I got a little camera and it looks just like this, but he's, you know, this person must, you know, obviously, photographic skills are completely irrelevant, obviously so. You know, someone's going to take a look at your work. They're also going to take a look at your gear. I'm going to get so much hate for this video. I'm going to get a lot of hate. And I know that the product is all that matters. But it is also the case that the photo sight gain on a DX crop sensor is not good enough for portraiture. I would not, you know, unless this were my only camera, I mean, I wouldn't be grabbing this for portraiture shots. Is that to say that I can't take absolutely incredible shots with this? Yeah, and it's the exact same reason why 99% of people are happy with a $20 bottle of wine from the liquor store as opposed to, you know, that $200 bottle of Italian Barbera. The exact same reason. The difference between 98% and 100%, or let's say 95% and 100%, is a lot of money. And as far as the output, and it's negligible to many, and it's zero to most. But still there's perception. There's actual what can be rendered by this versus a Nikon D750. And for portraiture, no way. No way. You know, if someone's paying me, I'm not going to grab this for portraiture. It's like, I'm going to photo shoot out in the park. You know, bring studio strobe and bring a camera. It's like, boom, boom. Okay, it's in the car. I'm not grabbing this thing. They're paying me. I want something that's going to give that magical effect that only the intertonal transmission will full frame. So I'm not referring to the D3 specifically. Just, you know, modern full frame camera. Full frame sensor camera. Which has the advantage of better photo sight gain, better intertonal transmission. Well, if that's the case, why don't you just expose this more in other stuff? Because then you're going to blow your highlights. So you can kind of do it a little bit, but not really. No. No, you can't. Well, what about raising it up in post? You know, you can't raise what wasn't captured to begin with. You can tweak some things. I'm going to get so much hate for this video, but I'm 100% right. I have a limitation on the physical limitation of this camera or any DX crop sensor camera. And then I have the perceptual limit. Well, that looks like my camera from Best Buy. But you're thinking in your head, you know, you'd want to personally smack somebody for saying that or thinking that if you knew what they were thinking. But you're like, no, this is a professional piece of $1,600 camera. Of course, the cost of the camera doesn't mean a damn thing if you don't know what the hell to do with it, of course. You're like, no, you know, that your piece of crap you bought from Best Buy, you know, is a little turd worm. You know, this is, there is actually no such thing as a professional camera. There is and there isn't. I mean, I would rather have a Nikon D3300 in the hands of a professional taking portrait shots than a D3300 in the hands of a professional versus a Nikon D4S in the hands of some goofball that doesn't know what the hell they're doing. The shots are going to look 1,000 times better from the Nikon D3300 than they will from the Nikon D4S as shot by the goofball. We know all these facts. Let's not talk about the obvious. I'm going to show up, you know, for a paid shoot, you know, with its corporate shot. I was like, well, you know, you're the professional, and that's what you're using. That looks like that camera I got at Best Buy. You know, there's an old saying that says perception is reality. And, you know, ultimately you'll win them over if you've produced the awesome shots. There are still issues, you know, no matter how good this Fuji is, it is the case that they're not going to rack anything up against Nikon that's been cranking out speed lights for decades and decades and decades and decades. The lighting system and the options for a high-speed sync, now high-speed sync shot options on this as well. The lighting options for the Nikon are just in the stratosphere compared to everything else. I mean, that's a fact. Nobody's going to deny that. It's undeniable. Perception is reality. Now is the case of what we're asking, well, that's what you're going to do professionally. You're right, I got a bunch of cameras, you know, and you work with what you got, you know. If you make good output, and someone's going to bitch at me saying, well, you know, when you see it hanging on the wall, no one gives a shit what camera it was taken. Well, yeah, I'm not talking about that. Obviously, that's the case. Whatever's hanging on the wall, if it's the tits, give a shit who took what, you know, what the hell camera took the picture. I'm talking about perception being reality. Now, if I'm traveling myself, you know, across Europe, which, you know, I'm way too broke to do that, but I love to be doing that, I'm not going to take this beast. I'm not even going to take the D750. I'll take a Fuji with me and a few lenses. I'd rather pack around speed lights and batteries and remote triggers. You know, I just be honest with you. You know, I got a backpack. I'd love to be hiking around Iceland in the summer months. At least for a month. I'd love to be hiking around Iceland with a Fuji and like a half dozen lenses. That's my dream. You know, send me to Iceland for a month in the summertime, and I'll take the Fuji and a bunch of lenses. I don't even think about taking the Nikon stuff with me. You know. So, travel. Shooting a gig, I'm grabbing, not this necessarily the D3, although quite possibly. I don't know what people complain about. That camera's too fat and heavy. Well, I've got no muscles at all. I can pack it around all day, so what the hell is your excuse? Why do people complain about this camera being so heavy? I've got no muscles at all. It's ridiculous. I see big guys with big muscles. The camera's too heavy. It's like, what are you talking about? Are you sitting there twisting the lids off of tin cans with your hands without a can opener? You're talking about this being too heavy? Big camera versus little camera. How serious people take you. That's what you're going to shoot our wedding for? With, you know, we just paid you $6,000 to do a wedding shoot and you're losing something that looks like something I could buy at Best Buy. Results are all that matter. People are changing now. There's still an intellectual perception, however, and it's rather large, and that, you know, you shouldn't be showing up at a professional gig with something that looks like this rather than something like this. I'm talking about human ignorance, okay? But there is still a physical limitation. For portraiture, there ain't no way in hell that if someone's paying me money, I'm going to grab a studio strobe and a reflector and grab a mirrorless. I don't care if it's mirrorless or not. You know, D7100. Oh, you praise the D7100 endlessly. Yeah, I have, and I've got a couple D7100s, but I'm not grabbing it for a paid shoot. Is it good enough for, you know, can you crank out beautiful stuff? Well, of course you can. I'm going to get so much hate for this video. It's just a fact. You know, let me be honest. Let's be honest here. Am I wrong in anything I said? No. Did some of that have to deal with human ignorance and as far as what are you going to do? Are you going to shoot our wedding with that little point-and-shoot camera? Well, it's not a point-and-shoot camera. Well, yeah, it kind of looks like one. Yeah, nobody cares about what camera took the picture once it's hanging on the wall or it's on a website. It's undeniable. Just talking about perception being reality here. And I can't stand social media, and way too much of photography is social media. But things are changing rapidly, and now there's a new hipster movement in photography, and this is out in hipster photography. Like, oh man, that's a big old camera, that sucks. You know, everything is like, you know, you need to grow a goatee, a soul patch, and like wear a funky hat and shoot a mirrorless camera. Really? There's still a physical native gain advantage from a full-frame sensor. It's undeniable, it's irrefutable, and it's etched in stone. It's undeniable. That's why this 12 megapixel camera will take better portrait shots than this 24 megapixel camera will. It will render it better with the same lens. It will. All things being equal so far as the lens side, the bokeh side, you know, the resolution side. Yeah, there's more translational information here, but there's better gain here and there'll actually be better rendition on the full-frame sensor camera. And it's an undeniable fact. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.